My name is Robbie McLean, and this is my critical analysis process. This artwork is by Eric Johansson, titled Play Outside. Breaking down this image using both the elements and principles of design, I chose 6 elements that I thought were best represented in this image. Two of the elements that stuck out to me more than the others were the use of color and shape. Color was used to contrast the background to the center of the image, where there is a bright window surrounded by a relatively gloomy looking background. This helps highlight the two kids standing in the center of the image and how they are peering into a window. This use of colors also helps you see the illusions of the curtains blended in with the background. I also thought that the use of different shapes, such as the waves in the image, to give off the illusion of the background turning into curtains was very interesting. Moving on to my interpretation, I thought that this image was a representation of children's desire to play outside and explore the world, but being forced to stay indoors. I interpreted it this way because of the background fading into the curtains surrounding a window that makes it seem like the kids are inside but imagining being outside. In this specific image, it might be due to the bad weather that the kids are stuck inside, but it seems as though they want to be outside because the window they're looking through is sunny. I felt like this was supposed to show how we spend way too much time indoors and forget to take part in nature like kids so naturally do. But after learning more about this artist, I realized that his intentions for this art piece was much less metaphorical and was meant to be taken more literal. In his explanation of this piece, he said that his goal of this image was to display more of an imaginary scene where the phrase play outside doesn't always mean that you have to be outside to play. So he created an image where it's hard to tell whether it is inside or outside. Onto the cultural context, Eric Johansson is a Swedish photographer and a visual artist who focuses on creating singular images that look realistic but have a twist of fantasy to it in order to tell a story. His goal is to capture the impossible. What I find interesting about him is that he takes all of his images himself and doesn't accept commissions very often. He focuses most on his personal projects, which can take him a very long time due to the fact that he takes every single image himself. He is very independent with his work and travels a lot for inspiration. He says that he has always enjoyed drawing, which he believes may have been influenced by his grandmother, who was a painter. He also has always had a fascination with computers, so once he got a camera and started playing around with photography, he said it opened up a new world to him. He's self-taught in both photography and retouch and doesn't like to stick to a specific style. Instead, he says that he likes to find inspiration anywhere he can. Now focusing on the historical timeline, he was born in April of 1985 outside of a small town in south of Sweden. Growing up, he had a love for drawing and computers. Once in high school, he took a natural science program, and in 2005, he moved to Gothenburg to study computer engineering at Chalmers University of Technology. While in university, he got a camera, which led to his interest in photography and photo manipulation. But at this point, he did not consider it as a career path. He began publishing some of his images online, which caused him to receive some requests from advertisement agencies. And due to this, he started freelancing, while studying and working on personal projects. In 2010, he graduated with a master in interaction design, and because he was receiving so many work requests while studying, he decided to try out photography as an actual career path and see how it would go. While doing this, he moved to the eastern part of Sweden to try to life of freelance, and in 2012, he moved back to Germany. He moved to Germany in hopes of finding some new inspiration. In 2015, he moved again back to where he's currently located and continues to work today as a full time photographer and artist, mostly focusing on his own projects, but he will sometimes accept commissions. In 2016, he released his first book, and he's going to be launching his biggest project so far in 2025, which will be an arts center. When I was first searching for an artist to analyze, I really struggled finding one that stood out to me where I felt like I could connect to it in a way. Although I found that many of the artists that I saw were interesting with all of their artworks, none of them got my imagination going. It wasn't until I found Eric Johansson's work that this changed. I like that he only uses simple imagery for his work that looks realistic, but there's a message behind each one. Each one of the messages, I believe, can be taken in many different ways depending on a person's life experiences, but each one seems to be relatable in a way. Although it may not be noticeable at first glance, the more you look at the image, the more you start to notice smaller details that add more context to the story. Because it takes because he takes all the images himself, that means that everything that he's creating, he intended to look that way. After seeing his work and learning more about this artist, I would be happy to follow up on his upcoming projects and learn more about his creation process in the future. For all of the information that I used for this assignment, I found it all on his official website, where he had a few pages dedicated to information about him and interviews that he has done.